There we go. 3, 2, and 1. Oh, Mayor Mike, welcome back. Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. Yes, we are at that time already.
It's Monday again.
Again. And it's already the first Monday in August again, which of course means it's your turn. But also means that, we're starting to run out of daylight, run out of real estate here pretty quick.
Bite your tongue.
Summer. Yes.
We've got a lot of time left. I know. No, this is really it's almost a depressing kind of time of the year because most of the major events have happened already. We've got a few going on in the area that are coming up yet, but you're starting to wind down already. And that autumn is my favorite time of the year, so I'm really looking forward to that. But after autumn comes winter, and winter is my least favorite time of the year. Others love it, and more power to them. I'm just not a snowmobiling, skiing, tobogganing kind of guy.
I can see you rolling down a tubing hill.
You got to watch. So you can go on the city's YouTube page and see the John Quirk and I did a Back to the Future, toboggan to the future thing.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yes. But as long as you don't get injured in the process,
exactly.
Why not give it a try? But yeah, some of those things that you were mentioning, we've had again. We always talk about the outdoor music events. It seems to be something you do really well here in the summer. You still have a few more coming up here.
We do. So Labor Day weekend is always Jazz Fest, and we still have a few more weeks left of Notes at Night on Wednesday downtown on the square. We still have a few more weeks left of the Levitt Music Series, live music Thursday nights at the Bandshell at Piffner Pioneer Park, and of course Wednesdays the City Band plays at the Bandshell. So Wednesdays you got two options for music, Thursdays Levitt, and then festivals and things like that on the weekend. So we still got a lot going on.
Now the Village of Plover is actually they're gonna be picking a day here soon for live music. They want to get something going on over at Lake Pacua. Are you willing to challenge them to a duel for Thursday nights?
Like a dueling banjos kind of thing?
Dueling banjos would work.
Honestly, more power to them because we are a community. Nobody can show me where the line in the sand is between Stevens Point and Whiting and Plover. What's good for Plover is good for Point. What's good for Point is good for Plover. We are symbiotic. So it'd be nice if they would pick maybe a Tuesday or something so they wouldn't interfere with some of the other events that have been established for a lot of years. But more power to them. I think there's enough people in this community that are always looking for something cool to do. And whether they do it in Point or Park Ridge or Whiting or Plover is up to them. I'm okay with it.
I've already put in my suggestion for a case of the Mondays, Monday night live music.
Okay.
Celebrate the end of Monday.
At the end of Monday, sure. Well, and they had Celebrate Plover this past weekend. I stopped down there. The kids from Wisconsin on Friday put on a great show. They always do. It's spectacular. I'd love to get them back up in Point. But Plover's got a really nice remodel project going on with the Lake Pacua district, and they're doing a lot of stuff there. So I'm glad to see that it's being utilized and that they're making some improvements down there.
Absolutely. Again, we're all one big community down there. I'm sure the map makers would take offense to you saying I don't know where the line is because I'm sure they could show you. But hey,
you're probably right. We're going to do that. Maybe we'll get some spray paint and we'll paint lines like border lines between our municipalities so people know where they are.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, like I said, I like to come down here and shop downtown every now and then when I'm going back to South Dakota. I know you like to come on up and check things out in Wausau.
As a matter of fact, I got to come up and hang out with Mayor Katie on the 400 block one of these days to get in the Wausau live music. And hopefully she'll come back down here and hang with us for a little bit. Well, no goats.
You just took all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
You just we'll find a way to make it happen one of these days here before the summer is over. But one thing that we wanted to talk about as far as business goes up here, something that's going to be great for business, not only for you but for folks in Plover that rent out hotel rooms, folks in Whiting. And it's not even the golf tournament. It's something that it's going to be ongoing.
It's on fire.
It's going to be ongoing, yes, and indeed. It is on fire on purpose as well. The fire training facility. You announced it earlier this spring, and much to my surprise, it's already online. But I suppose when you're when you're for these training facilities, you don't have to build a big building. You can just bring out the elements and install them.
Right. Well, you're going to burn it down anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fire training facility is something that's been in the works for a while. We've partnered with the Stevens Point Fire Department and Mid-State Technical College to create a fire training facility here in Stevens Point. And it was a piece of unused land. We used it as a pit where we took road mat and crushed it up and things like that. We sectioned off a piece of that that is going to bring firefighter training from all over the Midwest, likely, right here to Stevens Point to get trained. And then those firefighters are going to go out into the world and the rest of the country, getting their training right here in Stevens Point through Mid-State Technical College and working with the Stevens Point Fire Department. And it's not limited to that. We have already had insurance companies use it for their adjusters so they can see a fire burn and understand how a fire breathes and know the difference between a likely natural fire or something that was caused through an electrical short or whatever it happened to be, as opposed to something that may have been user-based. Mm-hmm. Arson.
Started intentionally.
It started intentionally. And you can see the differences between the uses of accelerant and how pieces of furniture or bedding or things like that react to a fire that is not started by a person and something that it is started by a person. So they can tell the difference. So the training facility is going to have far-reaching implications. So it's not just firefighter training. There are a variety of industries that are going to use that, and they're going to all come right here to Stevens Point, Wisconsin, to experience that training. So I'm really looking forward to that. The ribbon cutting, if you want to attend, is this Friday at 11:30 out at our Whiting Avenue facility. I know Congressman Kine's going to be there, and I assume Representative Shanklin and Teston. They were instrumental in helping get some funding to help make this happen. But it's a great facility, and it's still going to be growing. We're going to put structures out there and eventually cameras and internet and things like that so they can monitor better some of the fire cells that they're going to be testing on.
Yeah, and this is something that not only are your firefighters using it, you're offering it regionally as well to firefighters from Wausau or firefighters from the Fox Valley. If they want to come in, they are allowed to use it as long as Mid-State or your own.
We'll be partnering with them, and it's really good for some of the smaller departments who may not have the resources to do confined space training or the variety of training that they go through. I want all of our firefighters and paramedics to be trained in every possible scenario. So if I'm stuck in a corn silo drowning in grain, that the people who are coming to get me out are trained and they don't hurt themselves and get me out while I still have a little bit of life left in me. Some of the smaller departments don't have those opportunities very often. Now we're going to have something right here.
So how big is this going to be before all is said and done? What's the final vision for this? Or is this something that's going to just continually grow and evolve?
I think it will continue to grow and evolve, but we're going to start out with some of the basics. They call them fire cells, so they build rooms effectively to do training in. So you practice training on extinguishing a fire, breaching doors, venting the fires, so cutting holes in roofs and things like that, as well as burn houses. Similar to what we have with the smokehouse that we take kids on so they can see how to properly evacuate their house if they see or smell smoke. And then, vehicle fires, things like that. We want to be able to recreate as many scenarios as possible. Obviously, that's not all going to happen like that. So it will evolve over time.
Mm-hmm. And again, ribbon cutting ceremony is open to the public?
It is. And again, that's 11:30, Friday, August 6th.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can be there for that. Because,
I'm hoping you can.
It sounds like something that's going to be great for the region and for public safety in the region, which always top of mind for everybody. Obviously.
Yep. And I want to try and find some interesting pun to work on. It'll be a smoking time, place is on fire, people are burning to get at it. But being a politician, I probably have to go with liar, liar, pants on fire.
I'm going to allow it. I am going to allow it. The judges are allowing
The
it.
judges are allowing it. Thank you.
The Russian actually gave you a 10 to go with the Olympic theme.
10.0, there you go.
But that's I know one thing that you're going to be working on, as you said, continuing to evolve on. You're also continuing to take ideas on the Division Street project, Business
Right.
51 redesign. Still a few years away from that, but we're not quite to the point where we want to say we have an idea, because you're still taking ideas.
We had some additional public meetings last week. This is arguably the biggest project in my lifetime. So we want to make sure that we do it correctly. People will say, well, why can't you just rebuild it as is? We can. And it would probably be a lot less hassle. However, we have an opportunity now to potentially make it better. Generally speaking, that corridor doesn't have any higher than average accidents. However, some of the intersections do have a higher than average accident rating. And we want to see if we can fix that. That might come with straightening out an intersection. Speed is always an issue. For some reason, people see a 25 mile an hour speed limit and they see 35. And if people followed the rules of the road, and that goes for everybody, pedestrians, bicyclists, skateboards, motor vehicle operators, the world would be a much better place. But we don't. And we want to make sure that everybody who uses it is as safe as we can make it. I wouldn't feel right, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if we didn't at least try. So I may not agree with the designs that the experts are telling us in some cases, because I think it might cause problems with traffic congestion, but it will slow people down. Narrowing it in some spots will force people to slow down because they can't do it willingly. And I think the final design, whatever that's going to be, is going to be something that is an improvement over the current design.
And I know one thing that seems to be a flashpoint whenever you get to something like this is you talk about bike lanes, and immediately there's some pretty strong opinions.
The hair on my neck just went up when you said the phrase bike lanes, because it's a trigger.
For
some people it's just crazy.
But what the first thing of bike lanes is about is it lets you know that the bikes are allowed on the road as well.
Yeah, they can do that right now. They can ride in the middle of the road if they want.
Yes.
I don't recommend it. Please be courteous and use common sense. I don't have a problem with bike lanes. I think some people think that I have an issue with bike lanes. I don't. I think we should share the road as much as possible. But I also don't think that we should spend 40% over budget to do them. The biggest concerns I've had with the Stevens Point bike lanes are the fact that every single one of them was not just over budget, but way over budget. And the council chose the priority of doing it anyway. That's their prerogative. That's why we have 11 people making decisions rather than just one. I'm also of the mindset, and I'm not a bicyclist, and I respect their rights, but I wouldn't want me bicycling on the busiest street in the city. I would go one road over. It follows the same direction, and there's no chance of me getting run over by a truck. This helps a little bit. It also, in some cases, helps the pedestrians, because in some areas, the street goes right up to the sidewalk, which doesn't leave you a lot of wiggle room for pedestrians. So if I'm walking with my dog or a small kid, even though we're right next to each other, slipping or accidentally falling into the street, that could be it. So having a bike lane in some cases offers a bit of a buffer, because you're not going to have motor vehicle traffic right next to the sidewalk. It shouldn't be a trigger point. Boy, if bike lanes is the biggest thing that you have to complain about, first of all, I must be doing a spectacular job then. But secondly, call me. I'll give you a list of bigger things we should be concerned about. Like the fact that our state's shared revenue has been cut continually year after year, and we're expected to provide better services and more services with less money. I'll give you some things to complain about.
That, as always, you can take up with your representatives.
You certainly can.
Who will be in town for the ribbon cutting.
And you could see them at the ribbon cutting. Perfect.
Yes,
I like the way you think, Michael.
Exactly. So that's, I know that you're going to have some more input sessions, but where are we as far as design goes? Because once we get that 30% design out, that's when we really kind of know.
We are about 30% right now, and that's what we're working on. So people think 30%, well, that really doesn't mean a whole lot, but 30% is a pretty far along in the process design layout. So we want to make sure that we're doing it right. I think generally we're taking into consideration the majority of the concerns that we have that we feel, I guess, are legitimate, and we're going to continue to tweak it until we have that design laid out. It's not going to make everybody happy, I guarantee you that. Change is really hard for some people to accept. I don't know how the road narrowing is going to work, but I'm going to deal with it. I mean, again, if that's the biggest complaint I have on any given day is that, boy, I couldn't get to work faster or couldn't get to McDonald's faster or whatever, I'm doing pretty good in the grand scheme of things. So, public input is still accepted. Contact our community development department, contact your alderperson, send a generic email to the city if you don't know who to call, and we'll get it put into the stack of other comments that we have so we can take those into consideration. The other thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is what we call accessory dwelling units, or ADUs and CDUs. ACUs. Accessory dwelling units, accessory commercial units. This is coming in response, in part, to the housing issues that almost every community is facing. Affordability is kind of the catchphrase, but what does that mean? What's affordable to me is different than what's affordable to you, I think. We would both have different definitions if we were to put a dollar amount on it, because we have different lifestyles, different needs, and we try and cover the entire gamut of the housing spectrum. Some people like large lot, single-family homes near the countryside. Some people like living in an apartment with 50 other people in community space and having a relationship with your neighbors. Some people like small lots. I have a pretty small lot. I get along with all my neighbors. We have movies in the driveway, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
And then there's other people yet that are trying to become homeowners, but finding it challenging to afford a down payment and mortgages and all this stuff while paying what some people feel is a high monthly rent. Mm-hmm. If you're paying $1,000, $1,200 a month in rent, you don't have a lot of money left, especially if you're a small young family starting out or even a single person. You don't have a lot of money left to save for a down payment. So what we're looking at is allowing accessory dwelling units. Maybe I have a loft above my garage, or maybe what some people affectionately call a mother-in-law suite.
Oh yeah.
A cottage, for lack of a better word, in backyard or something. I don't like the mother-in-law suite because it's got a negative connotation to it, and I love my mother-in-law. But it's just another residence on your property. Now, we want to be really careful. We don't want people building things in their backyard and putting up 4 cottages in their backyard to make money. So it's pretty strict. You still have to meet all of the residency setbacks. You have to have separate utilities. So, for example, I can't run a garden hose from my house to the garage and call it your plumbing. Mm-hmm. We have to have separate utilities because if I don't pay my water bill, your water could get cut off, and we can't have that. So separate utilities, separate setbacks, all of the guidelines have to be followed. Minimum or maximum occupancies still need to be adhered to. So if you live in a single family zoned property, you can't have more than 2 unrelated people living on that parcel. And all of those rules would still apply. Height restrictions, someone said, oh, I could have a single story house and build a 3-story accessory unit. No, you can't. The primary residence has to be occupied by the owner. So I can't, buy a rental property, put 2 cottages in the back and rent them all out. That's not allowed. So we want to make sure that, again, we're diligent and taking feedback because these could be in your neighborhood. This would be a citywide change. We want to make sure that we take everybody's thoughts into consideration. We brought it before council. We've been, talking about this for better part of 3 months already. We're now at the point where we're having individual district meetings. We've had 6 of those. We're going to have a few more scheduled. So if you have input, contact my office again or community development, or more importantly, contact your alderperson because they're the ones that are ultimately going to vote on that. And let them know what you feel. And if you hear information, I would strongly encourage you to contact the city offices and verify it's true before you go on an assumption, because there were there were some pretty good rumors flying around about what would and wouldn't be allowed.
But
It's
yeah,
not going to happen.
and this, it's understandable though that this is going to perk up a lot of ears and spark discussion, because you may think you know your neighbors, and then all of a sudden you have
Now you have new ones.
new
Sure.
neighbors, and you may have a little less. It may feel like you have a little less space to yourself because suddenly there's somebody living in the backyard of your neighbor's property.
And I can understand that. So yes, that could be a possibility in some cases. I don't think you're going to see a rash of people building these little cottages, because it's going to be expensive to run separate
of
utilities. But if someone has something that's existing, and I know there's a young couple, younger couple, one child, and they're waiting to rebuild their garage to see if this happens, because they may build the garage with a single bedroom loft above it to help make ends meet, to help them afford home ownership. And that's a good thing.
Exactly, and it could be something that at the end you really don't have to worry about, because it's somebody that's not playing loud music, or not somebody who is hosting parties with milk and cookies, for lack of a better term,
Sure.
all late hours of the night. It could be somebody who just keeps to themselves.
And it could be someone who shares the same interests as you. So, don't think it's going to be terrible just because it's different. It could turn out to be a really good thing, and let it fail on its own if it's going to fail.
Well, Mayor Mike, we always appreciate the time. We'll look forward to chatting again next month.
Thanks. See ya.